Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. An acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on AmericanFreedomRadio.com and on TimeForHemp.com. I want to thank you for tuning in today. It's a happy Tuesday. It's been a nice 3-day weekend, I can tell you that. And I got a lot done on my website. Those of you who like to check out my website and see what updates we've done, there's been quite a bit there. You might want to give a look over and share us with your friends. It is also on Tuesday, we put a spotlight on Canada Day, Canadian Day. A lot of amazing Canada's activists tune in and listen to TimeForHemp.com. I want to say thank you to Kelly Christian at KDK Distributors, and thank him for giving us a grant for keeping us loud, proud, and strong. The same with Tim Selinsky, who also does the same. We appreciate your donations. Well, Kelly's not going to make the broadcast today, but we have on the show today another member of our Time for Hemp family who's been busy doing so many other things lately. He's not had a chance to stop by and visit, but he's here today to say hi. Darryl Cotton. Darryl, thank you for taking time for hemp.
Hey, Casper, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure as always, and sorry to hear Kelly couldn't make it, but our best wishes for his speedy recovery. I think a dab is in order. Tell him it's one on me today.
And as you can tell by the giggling on the line, our joint guest is on the phone.
Yeah, I got Cameran Laubisch. He's with Grow House Automation. He's one of our ESCO dealers up in Santa Rosa, California. Cameran, good morning.
Hello, Darryl. How are you doing?
We're doing good. Thanks for coming on Time for Hemp.
No problem.
So, Darryl, you said we're having a problem with water these days for the garden. And I've noticed that we've not had a lot of rain here in the States and up in Canada. So, yeah, that is becoming a problem. But one of the things I like about this fantastic plant is that it is drought resistant.
Well, that's kind of where Cameran and I come together on this. We're looking at ways to increase crop production, give us high-quality crops. And even though there are states where there's dispensary and cultivation systems in place, I've always felt that the patient should have the right to grow their own products and know their genetics. And our lighting systems are very energy efficient. And as the small-scale grower goes, it tends to be a little more expensive to get into them, but the benefits are that it's a broad spectrum, so even a newbie can figure out that if he does the essentials correctly, he's going to get a yield and he's going to have the satisfaction of knowing he grew it. But we're all busy. We all have jobs. We all have other things pulling on our time strings, if you will. And Cameron's got a pretty cool little system. I'm going to let him explain it, that automates some of the fundamental features that are going to be necessary to not only get out the gate properly your first grow, but every grow thereafter so you can have repeatable success. So, Cameran, why don't you tell everybody what it is you do?
Thank you, Darryl. Basically, you touched on it. Several years ago, when we were thinking of ideas and coming up, the beginning of this company, we noticed that, some people, tend to be a slave to their garden, that, they can't leave, always worried about it, checking up on it. And, if you rely on that garden, you have to be in there to make sure it's going good. We set out to create the Hydroid to kind of free people from that. What the Hydroid does is it's an automation machine that does all dosing for pH and all your nutrients. So you just put in there your recipe, which you can get from the back of your nutrient bottle, plug that in there, tell it what EC you want, and tell it go, and it'll keep it good for you. And that's the huge part of what we do, because that's in general the point where a lot of people mess up. There's a lot of human error involved in mixing chemicals and getting things right. So we take that human error out and make it real easy. But we also do CO2, temp, humidity, water temp control. Pretty much anything that you can automate, we do it.
Now, you don't really even need a computer sciences background in this. It's very user-friendly. If you go to growhouseautomation.com, you can see the systems. You call it a hydroid, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the user interface, it's graphical. It's easily navigated.
Yeah, it was all designed to be run on a touchscreen computer. Just an iPad. It runs on a Windows tablet. So it's supposed to be really intuitive. You can just click around. If you're a grower, it's where you want it to be. But where we regard, and everything you need to know is right there on the screen. And very intuitive.
So if I got through a cycle and quite successfully, I love the yield, I love the quality, you're going to have a journal of that, what went in when, and I can replicate that for the successive grows, correct?
Correct. Every grow that you do, everything, anytime the hydroid is running, it's logging whatever it's doing. So at the end of a grow, we log it all into an Excel file, which you can then extract and, look and compare against your notes and pictures. Be like, well, this week I noticed this, and if I look at my Excel document, I could see that, my EC was this, and you could improve on your next grow. Or if everything was great, you can just repeat the grow. And it's also shareable. So, if someone else has a similar system using similar newts, you could just give them the recipe, and they'll be able to grow exactly what you just did.
And I think that's important, too, because if you see signs of, especially if you're using a new nutrient mix, it's a 3-part mix, and it runs a little hot, you're going to adjust that, and you're going to know that for successive gardens so you don't repeat that problem.
Absolutely.
Now, is this designed for the large or medium-sized crop growers? Is there smaller home users using your systems as well?
Where we land is pretty much dependent on our, it's based on our price point. We do have a lot of small growers using our equipment. Small as in they just have a little mini greenhouse growing food. I do have a system at the corn garden. I believe you guys talked about that a couple weeks back. They're currently using it to grow all their lettuce.
Okay.
So it depends on, if it's worth it for you. If consistency is really important, if it's something that you absolutely have to rely on, or, we go all the way up to large-scale commercial grows. So, it's completely scalable.
And it's customizable to your client, plus you offer online support, which I think is important. A lot of people get into these systems, and if they're not used properly, you might as well not even invest the money.
Correct. We offer a lot for the customers as far as setting it up. It is completely customizable. It was designed to be run on any hydroponic system. And in fact, we also have one customer using it to automate his soil grow. So you can customize it in any way, and we work really close with the customer when they're setting it up to make sure it's completely set up right, and they're trained on how to use it. And then we also offer the 24-hour phone support.
Precisely. And the idea is if I've got all the environmental controls established and it's repeatable, then I can count on consistent yields one generation after the next of, top.
That's all about. That's the name of the game right there.
There's programs that are legal to cultivate, distribute. Prop 203 in Arizona, where there's a 25-mile radius, you can't grow your own. I think there's a tremendous need for people to understand their genetics and really know what it is that they're taking for both, their meds and their food. Is this system right for them?
I would think so, because when I moved to California, that is something that I noticed here too, and that you don't really know what you're getting, and the only way to know for sure is as doing it yourself. And we make it as easy as possible for people to do that, and they could take comfort in knowing that they have something that's safe and exactly what they need and want.
I would agree. So it's important to inform people that they do have to take some responsibility. You can't always believe what the dispensary is telling you, or big ag, that this too won't hurt you. Having the satisfaction of growing your own food and meds, you have a relatively stable platform. You know what it is you're putting in your body, whereas oftentimes at the supermarkets and the dispensaries, you simply don't know. They sell you what they consider to be, right for a condition that they're not even medically capable of defining, the parameters of that particular prescription. So I think it's important that people do understand the genetics and how you can treat a specific homeopathic condition. I like Grow House. Where do you see it going in the future? Do you see more systems being automated so that more people can get into indoor gardening?
Absolutely. I really see, lately, like these past 2 years, there's been a huge push, with everyone talking about Monsanto and GMO. A lot of people getting interested in growing their own, medicine and food. And I think that's great. That's something that everyone should be taking responsibility in. Someone said it best, it's like printing your own money once you have your own garden.
True, and it is, not only from the standpoint that, it's better for you that you know what you're putting in your body and what you're not putting in your body, but I think what can also help lead the way in some of the other aspects of the larger commercial grows, like the larger commercial cannabis grows, where they're making the utilities and the cities, the end users must be responsible for everything they consume, and they want energy efficiencies. They want to know, where the nutrients are going, if they're not being properly recycled, is the water being contained and recycled? Is Grow House leaning in that direction too? To work, in one case, I have a gardener who has 14,000 of our lights on the East Coast, and the first thing he had to do is build a water treatment facility so that he could, treat all the water that it was being used in his garden. Do you see Grow House getting involved in those types of systems?
Absolutely. We're already involved in projects like that because as these things progress and laws progress, people need to adopt, and we're there to help them develop custom solutions for any sort of automation task you're looking for, and we try to tie it in to all the other stuff that we do, so that the user has a command station of sorts, one central spot where they can see an overview of their entire operation.
And
that's
take
important
this on
for the government,
road, right?
To see too.
And you can take this on the road. I mean, if you're out of town, you can look into your garden and see what all the levels are and how it's progressing.
Yes, we work with another company to bring VNC services to our software. VNC is basically like a remote desktop. So because we know that security is also very important to our customers, and AES 256-bit encryption is not something I wanted to get programming. So we work with this other company, and they offer really good services for remote viewing everything on any phone and any computer anywhere in the world. And they make it really easy to do that, which is great, and it's all encrypted. So really try to look out for the customer there, security-wise.
Well, it's fun stuff, and I like the way the industry is going. Frankly, I think you don't really see much competition for these types of systems, do you? I mean, the off-the-shelf controllers simply aren't this capable with all these features.
Yeah, and we don't really see much competition, and that's kind of why we got into this, because I saw the void there. But I think a lot of these off-the-shelf controllers are kind of stuck back in the day, and can be updated so that they're easier to use and work better for a wider variety of systems. And that's what we're looking to attack. We're looking to help the customer out in that area
and make it more accessible by doing that. You don't sell through wholesale distribution, do you?
No, we don't. Right now we are more or less direct. But there are people out there, a sales force out there but more or less direct.
Because it is more one-on-one with your customers to some extent.
Precisely.
There's some very general conditions that you meet, but after that, it's a one-on-one relationship with the client. And as I said earlier, Cameran and Grow House are an ESCO with us. That's an energy savings consultant. So I don't know how we're sitting on time right now, Casper, but I did want to talk about some of the energy rebate programs that the growers
Quiet, Jana.
or that would help set off some of their costs.
We got about 2 minutes left. We got about 2 minutes left in this segment before we go to commercial break.
Okay, well, just to briefly talk about what we do in terms of Integro and the lighting, as broad spectrum goes, we're able to take what a metal halide and high-pressure sodium would do in combination for a fraction of the wattage. So you're going to go from vegetative to flower with a single lamp. There's a lot of energy savings and rebate programs available throughout the United States that would encourage you to take it. I can get into that with Casper or with Cameran a little bit about how Grow House helps achieve that with their automation equipment. But what it really does come down to is taking a look at the traditional light sources that you've been using in your gardens and questioning, why are we continuing to, relamp 20,000-hour lamps at, 25% of their rated lamp life? And, what are we doing with all this heat that we're generating? It's not helping our garden. We're having to build systems in to compensate for all that heat, and it's not plant-friendly. So Integro represents an energy-efficient way of giving the plants what they need without creating the heat that we would have to evacuate from the environment. Definitely, it's not helping our plants, it's hurting them. The rebate programs that are in place, though, are designed for the larger growers. So ESCOs, like what Cameran does, can go in and say, hey, you guys currently are burning X amount of watts per square foot. If we drop it by 60%, what programs are available to help offset those costs? And
I do have to jump right in here because one of the programs that we have to offset my costs is a commercial break. But we can cover this material when we come back, Darryl. And we are going to listen to a song about how fantastic marijuana is when we come back as well. So pack a bowl and let your friends know it really is time for hemp.
Get your smoke on. Get your smoke on. Get your smoke on. Get your smoke on. Get your smoke on.
Headshot Canada. Based in Saskatchewan, Canada, it is shaking up the medical cannabis industry. Headshot Canada helps Canadian citizens in getting a medical marijuana license. They do this by filling out the paperwork. They also help explain your needs to your doctor and also help find the right strain for your condition. For this service, Headshot Canada charges a nominal fee of $100 and your participation in a research and development study to test the effectiveness of different cannabis strains on various medical conditions. Owner and founding farmer Tim Selinsky wants every Canadian to know that you have the universal right to a marijuana license. Unlike Compassion Clubs, Headshot Canada's goal is to get the right strain of cannabis for the ailment at a fair flat rate price for the patient no matter the strain. Headshot Canada offers 57 strains of cannabis grown at family-owned farms in Saskatchewan as opposed to Canadian federal government's one strain of irradiated garbage grown in a lab. Go to headshopcanada.com. THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
This may sound strange, but I want to pay taxes. See, I don't drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. I relax with something science has proven is much safer, marijuana. and I want to buy it somewhere that charges taxes to pay for schools and roads, just like alcohol and tobacco. What do you think should profit? Are schools and roads or drug dealers?
Visit the Marijuana Policy Project Foundation at joinmpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.
Summer ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, me put the ganja. Babylon come light it at a fire, me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, me put the ganja. Babylon come, yo, yo. Big stinking helicopter flow through the air. With them call it weed eater. Them never did it when me was out in water, or when me did implying fertilizer. Yet out of the sky them spitting fire, and I'm a little youth man with a hot temper. Me dig up me stinking rocket launcher, and in all the air this was the helicopter me a chant. Some ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth when me put the ganja. Babylon come a lot it at a fire me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth when me put the ganja. Babylon come, yeah, tuna man. True Jaja bless I with no for good vibes man. And true me of the hardest set a ganja in the land. Make doctors get no meditation, and so them coulda give it to them sick patient. Make chemists get no meditation, and so them coulda brew new medication. Make singers get some inspiration, and so them coulda spread your message from the land me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth when me put the ganja. Babylon come a light it at a fire me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth when me put the ganja. Babylon come, watch out. Come and say ganja, 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 ganja. If you don't want to call it that, call it sensaminia. If you don't want to call it that, call it marijuana. If you don't want to call it that, call it the indica. And from me bun it in a chalice and rush it a paper. Lord, see me love me ganja. Some ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, me put the ganja. Babylon come and light it at a fire me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, me put the ganja. Babylon come. Well, it's like 10,000 Babylon in one blue van. Walk up Casper on this small damn ganja land. 10,000 Babylon in one blue van. Walk up Casper on this ganja planter, call me the farmer. Deep down in the earth with me money ganja. Me ganja, ganja, me ganja. Loud the ganja, ganja, ganja. Me ganja, ganja, ganja. Loud the ganja. Ganja, 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 loud ganja, 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 ganja,
Yeah, we are ganja planters today. It's what we are talking about, planting our wonderful garden. I can tell you my caregiver here in Portland, Oregon's happy to have my card around. That's one of the reasons why my caregiver is a ganja planter. I have a medical marijuana card here in the state of Portland, Oregon. And because of that, I or my caregiver can plant 22 wonderful plants, let them grow as big and tall as we possibly can let them grow, and then harvest about 10 or 15 pounds off of each plant. When we're done at the end of the season, if you cannot do that in your neck of the woods, I would encourage you to get 1 foot out in front of the other and try making the world a better place and your neck of the woods so that you can have medical marijuana without fear of prosecution. On the program today, we are talking about being ganja farmers, and one of the things you need when you are a ganja farmer is water. Another groovy thing you need is lights, and Darryl Cotton has a great system of lights that he can make available to you if you like. He's one of our sponsors here on the big broadcast. We were talking about rebates. Everybody loves that word rebate. That became a popular word, Darryl, I think, during the 1980s when Jimmy Carter was in office and they were trying to give government rebates back on not using too much heat in your house and conserving some of the resources of the earth. So it's nice to see that rebate still continue for such a thing.
Yeah, it's one of the places the government actually does something right, in my opinion. You know, the increasing cost of power, for example, around the West Coast, California. You know, they're not building any more nuclear power plants. They're not building any more coal plants. Hydrodynamics, the hydro dams, that is, hydroelectric. That's not in the works. So we pretty much have to get by with the existing power generation and distribution systems that we have. So to that end, the utilities, have reached out and offered rebates to lower consumption. And about 20 years ago, we had Enron here in California. They made a debacle out of, what they were charging per kilowatt hour, and they kind of had the Californians over a barrel. They could charge whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, and it taught the utilities something. They use time-of-use meters now, or smart meters. They're the digital meters. They can pretty much tell anything that's an unusual consumption pattern. They break it into tiers where you have a baseline of maybe 200 kilowatt hours, and then your price is associated with the baseline, and then it goes up based on where your consumption patterns go into various tiers from 2 to 5 typically. And you want to stay out of high consumption demand. Not only is it is expensive, but why bring attention to yourself and that you're consuming more power than the average, like residential consumer would typically demand. That being said, we don't believe in producing light output for a grow room in watts per square foot or watts per meter. We don't try to value lighting plants in that dimension anymore. There's a lot of argument to how to value plant lighting, but we found that the generally accepted principles, such as the ultraviolet and blue wavelengths, are good for vegetative, and then there's a carotenoid region in the middle region, which is a visible spectrum. The plants take from that too, and then red through far red through flower. So it's important that our lighting systems emulate the sunlight spectrums to the extent that they can indoors. And while we cannot produce the intensities of the sun, we can manage the photo periods or how long those lights are on. So I'm going to hand the ball to Cameran here. Cameran, you're using 2 of our lights. The energy efficiencies of the lights, I think you can attest to, but we also did something to hybridize both LED and induction. And in the gardens that you're running these, what are you seeing and how are you using it?
Well, right now in the shop, we are growing Carolina Reaper peppers in a deep water culture system. And we started this grow off with some old HID bulbs, metal halide, and high-pressure sodium. And, they did kind of good, but then we switched to this other induction, and they picked up a little bit more, and they were starting to flower. but nothing really good. And we picked up your light, put that up in there, and we noticed a difference pretty quick as far as flower production and growth. The plants shot up like crazy, and we're getting all these sites with flowers growing on them. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think where my other lights were lacking was actually they had that red spectrum. And I think once they started seeing that, that's when all these flowers started showing up.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that we decided a single technology might not be the best approach to this. So what we did is we took a broad enough phosphor spectrum, which is all fluorescents operate under phosphors, but by widening it up, you can only go so far. We selected diodes that would pick up where the phosphors left off. So for flowering, not only do we get an enhancement for flower with the chlorophyll A peak at 660 by using the diodes in concert with our induction lamps, but we also can mimic sunset. So when our lights go off, we trigger some 730 nanometer diodes, again LEDs, and flowering instantly. 12 on, 12 off to a 13 on. We can now match outdoor genetics. And have you been experiencing that in your garden? Have you been able to make a comparison between previous gardens and this one as to how that's working out for you, Cameron?
Right now, not quite as we've just started these peppers, but I'm really excited to see where this goes. Only because we're about to move our operation here, and just getting these peppers ready to go for a little ride. So I'm really excited because in our new location we're going to have proper tents set up to enclose them from the rest of the environment, to isolate them and to really test these side by side. But our initial look is pretty good. I'm looking at them right now. They're looking pretty happy.
Let's face it, plant response is everything. So on paper, I can have, and we see this a lot with LED panel manufacturers today, where they submit these really high micromole values, and other than lux, lumen, and foot candle, which most people are referring to visual spectrums or visual standards. Micromoles references an intensity value that plants respond to. And I find that the LED manufacturers are mostly guilty of this, where they'll push these really high numbers in comparison to HID. But as most growers will tell you, when comparing an LED to an HID grow, what is the resulting experience? Airy buds, lack of production, maybe a little longer to finish. And I don't think that's, as an energy efficiency approach, the way we need to be heading. So your opinion of our hybridized approach, Cameron, so far is it's delivering on those fronts. The peppers look good. They're maturing on the proper rates and so on.
Absolutely. I don't think with current LED technology I could get these kind of results. So I think the hybridization technique is pretty good because it just gives you the best of both worlds, and in a very energy efficient manner compared to HID. So it's all thumbs up for me. Some
of the newest innovations you've seen as a gardener, and by the way, I applaud any manufacturer who's running their own gardens, because that says they're devoted to seeing exactly how their products are going to work in a garden, and Cameron does that. So if you get a chance to stop by this or his new location in Santa Rosa, I'm sure he'd welcome the tour. But what have you seen as the greatest innovations here in the last 10 years? I mean, I've seen LED try to make their big push and come up a little short in terms of product or crop response. What do you see coming around the corner that can help benefit our crops?
I think probably the biggest thing is greater understanding. As all these ideas get a little, or the concept of growing hydroponically and growing your own gets more mainstream, the amount of information available is going to grow exponentially, and that is probably going to help people more than anything else. Just knowledge and people to ask. Aside from that, I think we're seeing a lot of cool hydroponic systems that do vertical growing. I think those are great ideas for energy efficiency.
Aquaponics.
Yeah, aquaponics is very interesting too. I like that because it's pretty conservative with water, and I think that's probably going to start taking off.
And you get to harvest the fish.
Yeah.
So if you're into tilapia, you can harvest the tilapia. You know, their fish waste makes the nutrients that the plants take, and that's it. You don't add anything beyond fish waste to the plants, and they do quite well from what we've seen.
Yeah, those systems really intrigue me. I like how they're all closed. You know, it's a closed loop system.
How about the greenhouse environments? Do you do anything in greenhouse grow your operation?
Oh yeah, we do, and a lot of the things that our customers do, you know, we can't tell about all of it. But basically, we're seeing a lot of greenhouses starting to get really serious about the control side of their operations, and it's bringing them greater yields at a reduced cost. And I think that's a huge shift that we're going to start seeing more of, especially as water and energy just keeps going up. These people need
cannabis
to think about
is ahead of the curve there too. Their greenhouses are cannabis grows; they're licensed, and we've talked to Tim Selinsky and others up there that have license with the Canadian Health Ministries to grow cannabis, with sunlight being the primary light source. And those are some beautiful gardens. I mean, I like selling lights, but I'd rather it be off the grid if the sunlight's there. Let the crops get what they need every day from the sun when it's there, and when we have to supplement it, we'll do so. So it's important that systems like what Cameron's talking about here meet those needs as well in relative terms, that we know how much sunlight's there and supplement it accordingly with lighting, artificial lighting when necessary. Am I right on that, Cameron?
Yes.
Well, also, one thing we're right about is right about on top of a commercial break.
Okay.
So I need to jump in here so we can pay our bills. And I want to remind people to go to timeforhemp.com and check out our website and let our sponsors know that you heard about them here on the big broadcast. And we would certainly appreciate it if you let them know that you heard about them here. Also, when we come back, we're going to ask Darryl what's a good way to grow some indoor plants. I'm sure he might have some ideas on a good lighting system that we might want to use here at Time for Hemp.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Indigrow is your source for affordable induction grow lighting. First discovered in 1891 by Nikola Tesla, Indigrow lights deliver 11 years of electronic sunlight to your plants. Indigrow lamps require less than half the power of traditional HID lamps. Converting to Indigrow lights means you'll cut down on your power bill with less lighting. Indigrow lamps also use 5 times less mercury than traditional fluorescent or HID lamps, making Indigrow not only energy efficient but environmentally friendly as well. No more switching out lamps between vegetative and flowering stages. As nature intended, your lights get a steady dose of UV light. That makes your plants grow healthier and stronger. Indigrow products are manufactured in San Diego, California, and come with a written 10-year warranty. What Tesla knew, then growers know now, is that Indigrow lighting is the cost-effective addition to your victory garden. To learn more or order now, go to inda-grow.com. That's INDA-GRO.com, or call 877-452-2244 to answer any of your questions. These guys really know lights. Indigrow really is your sunlight in a box.
Excuse me for a moment while I vent about the mind-boggling stupidity of the autocratic, bureaucratic, right-wing, Neanderthal numbskulls who keep pushing an insane, inane, and inhumane holy war against marijuana, which is, after all, a weed. The most embarrassing thing for these holy warriors is that the weed is winning. They've been at this war since 1937, spending billions and billions of our tax dollars, militarizing our borders, and stomping on our Bill of Rights. They've used phone taps, garbage searches, jackbooted raids, and draconian prison terms to do what? To nab peaceful, mellow tokers who aren't bothering anyone, that's what. Despite 60 years of spending our money, they failed. 85% of Americans say marijuana is easy to obtain today. A third of our population says they've tried it. Nearly 15 million people partake of it at least monthly, and more high school students now smoke marijuana than cigarettes. Meanwhile, the holy warriors have become more fanatical and thuggish. A marijuana arrest is made every 41 seconds in America, 9 out of 10 of them for mere possession. In 2004, 772,000 Americans were arrested on marijuana charges, more than for all violent crimes combined. And 40,000 Americans are in prison today for this victimless crime, more than the entire prison populations of 8 European countries. Even sicker, the sanctimonious weed warriors have made it a crime for thousands of seriously sick people to get the medical benefits of using small amounts of doctor-prescribed marijuana. Weirdly, our doctors can prescribe cocaine for patients, but not marijuana. This is Jim Hightower saying, for information and action to stop this absurd war, call the Marijuana Policy Project, 202-462-5747.
Time for Hemp is an educational tool that can be found in iTunes, on Spreaker, and of course at timeforhemp.com.
I'm kinda high, let me excuse myself, but it seems like it's just moments since we met. I'm kinda high, let me introduce myself.
Yeah, baby, let me introduce myself. My name is Casper Leitch. The program you are listening to is Time for Hemp, live all around the world on AmericanFreedomRadio.com and on TimeForHemp.com. I want to thank you for tuning in today. You can find the archives at TimeForHemp.com if you're looking for old shows. The current broadcast that you're listening to now will autoplay when you stop by there for a visit. On the program today, we are paying a salute to the hard-working farmer, the ganja farmer, here on Time for Hemp. And send our love, of course, to the people up in Canada. We have a huge audience in Canada, as well as all around the world who'd like to take time for hemp. My joint host, don't forget, anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, nearly 2 million people will take their pipes, their bongs, their vaporizers, and hit those bad boys and take time for hemp. Darryl, I tell you, some people are just scared of me. I tell you, they're just frightened of me. They love the movement. They're all excited about seeing prohibition end, but then there are these companies who make hemp products, I can call them out, who make products that tell them, but they're afraid to advertise on a program that's all about advertising, ending prohibition, and, you know, being part of the marijuana movement and getting back to our roots, I like that, and growing this, because we talk about the recreational use or the smoking of it, which to me is like saying that during Prohibition, you're not going to get behind a program that's talking about grape jelly and grape juice because, oh my God, you drink grape wine. Huh.
That's true. And I think with the recent CNN program by Sanjay Gupta, where he revisited his personal opinion on medical marijuana, I think what he did in an hour show is something that many like Casper and Jack and Ed and various others, Paul, have wanted to do for years, and that's to just promote it for the real legitimate homeopathic benefits that our own Health and Human Resources Department of Health and Human Services patented cannabinoids for their antioxidant and neuroprotective value. So Sanjay, I think, forced the federal government's recent hand on, was it August 30th, under the Cole memo, where the federal government, Department of Justice, has made it known that they are less likely to charge under Federal Controlled Substance Act those in the state of Washington and Colorado who are abiding by the 10th Amendment cultivation and distribution laws that are in force in those states. Casper, how do you feel about that? And the previous memos, such as the Ogden and the Cole memo, was that accomplished under those memos, and what makes this one any different?
Well, what makes this one different is that it really does seem that if the states do move forward in a tight form of regulation that is spelled out, that keeps all the operation and all the growing and all the distribution and all the use of this plant within the confines of their own state border, that the federal government will stay the heck out. Just leave it alone. They realize, gosh, 20 states now have said yes to medical marijuana and or recreational marijuana. 5 or 7 states have already said yes to industrial hemp, and we got how many more that are pushing legislature? What do we do? And I also think that really the media, the internet, and today's age. It used to be during my mom and dad's time when they were growing up and all they had was newspapers and Time magazine and snail mail. You could honestly stand in front of a camera team and say, there is nothing about this plant of any benefit. There's no medical value. There's no industrial value. You're talking silly. But now when a 12-year-old can Google industrial hemp, they can Google medical marijuana and learn in 12 minutes what many people have said they've not learned in 12 years. It also becomes more and more difficult for the Justice Department to stand up and defend these types of regulations and laws on a national and international basis. So I think that, and then Peter Criss has always said it well on the program every Wednesday. He's pointed out one form or another. I'm paraphrasing, but prohibition is a luxury item. And it's a very costly thing that we can only afford during prosperous times. And now we are faced with horrific economic disasters. We have states who cannot even afford to take care of their own light bill and cover the check holes, let alone go out and arrest little Johnny and Janie for having a plant. And they're looking for a way out. They realized on so many levels that this was silly, stupid, and nonsense. So I think it's kind of like they're trying to find some kind of legalese way of saying, oh, our bad. You asked.
They're steps in the right direction. I mean, I'm of the opinion that they should take it off of a Schedule 1 if they're serious, so that additional research can be done by the medical community and the academics to ferret out all the benefits. And why would they leave it on a Schedule 1? Still seems a dichotomy to me.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's the same reason why they put it there to begin with. They've not really been too stressed that we've gone after medical marijuana and recreational use because, golly, they can tax that, and that's not really a big threat to them. What the big threat to them is the industrial hemp, the paper, the fiber, and the fuel. And no one's gone eagerly after that. Now that we are going after industrial hemp, after the medical marijuana movement has kicked down so many other doors for us to walk through, it's a little more, they're dragging their feet more and more on that. You see that they're becoming less and less anxious about industrial hemp on a federal level. They still haven't moved on the paperwork on that in any way. And,
right.
So as long as we're going for the medical and the recreational use, they're not threatened because it's not a product. It's not a Wall Street problem. But when we open up industrial hemp, we're going to open up local jobs. We're going to open up local mom and pop shops. We're going to have cottage industries. We're going to have jobs that we cannot export overseas. And we're going to have no need for OPEC and a lot of other major companies on Wall Street. And that's got them terrified. That's why it's not being
now you're stepping on that many more special lobbies' toes as you push the industrial hemp initiative. Like what we had in California was the Senate Bill 676. I believe it had cleared 12 committees and was on its way to approval when Jerry Brown vetoed it because he felt that it would violate the Controlled Substance Acts with the potential for the illegal cultivation of higher THC crops. When you and I know, and most of our listeners know, that these industrial hemp crops are very low in THC. It's a completely different plant, essentially.
Well, one thing is for certain, if I want to speak to my audience, I certainly can from this platform 5 days a week, but we're not always lucky enough to have someone as wonderful as Cameran on the line. Cameran, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you jump in on this little conversation as well?
Cameran's up in Northern California, where they have some of the best bud, in my humble opinion, in the world. But we're not all fortunate enough to live in Northern California, so Cameran's got to bring his talents indoor, Casper.
Well, one thing, Cameran, I got to say, and I've talked to Darryl about this, I'm really ashamed of our generation for not making the most out of hydroponics. I had a friend of mine who was a lawyer who quit being a lawyer and became a hydroponic farmer because of the amount of produce he could come up with in his little 1 or 2 greenhouses. And I just saw it as a way of feeding the world, and yet all of our regulations and all of our stumbling blocks, we're having problems feeding the people down the street.
Well, I think, Casper, the reason why hydro hasn't taken off as fast as it should have is because the how complicated it can be, and it's kind of scary for new people. And when things go wrong in hydro, they go wrong really fast, and things can be dead real quick. Where soil is a little bit more forgiving, and that's kind of where grow house automation tries to help out, is taking that human error element out of it and just as easy as possible.
Well, yes, that was true. I had that pointed out to me. If one of your plants gets sick in a hydroponic greenhouse, all your plants get sick. But it was also pointed out to me that you can produce a 40 acres worth of lettuce in about 60 days in a hydroponic greenhouse, and in 90 days, like 40 acres worth of tomatoes. So if you do have a crop take a dump, you're back up on your feet in a couple of days.
True. Yeah, and Cameron's really big. We're all big on repurposing a lot of these abandoned warehouses in the inner cities and bringing a sense of purpose to our teenagers and our young adults. Get them agri-centric, learn how to properly garden and take care of the environment, in their immediate 500 radius areas of where these gardens are. So we as a country need to do that, look for innovative ways to do that. But what I was going to mention with Cameran, what does hydro do in terms of reducing plant stress? I mean, what are the benefits of automation? I know from the standpoint of broad spectrum lighting, when we change our photo period from an 18.6 to a 12.12, allied to a high-pressure sodium, there's stresses associated with that.
And I got to say, we're down to 1 minute. I can't believe how fast this hour is gone.
Then what are the advantages of automation? Can it help reduce plant stress, Cameran?
Absolutely. Stress can be caused a lot by mistakes done in the garden, and with automation, you limit the amount of mistakes that you have.
All right, real quick now, give a shout-out for a URL.
With other people that already know known good things to do will also help eliminate those stresses, because you just won't run into the same problems.
All right, real quick, give out a URL. We're fading out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'd encourage anybody listening right now to take a look at Grow House Automation and what they can do for your gardens. Indigrow, we're all about induction grow lights with a hybridized approach to things with our pontoons.
And we'll have you back soon, Darryl. Remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it's time for hemp.
Yeah.
I need a toga rhythm and a six-pack of the blues. I need a toga rhythm and a six-pack of the blues. I got the boogeyman, you heard the news. I'm looking for fun, I'm feeling alright. Watch out now, I might go all night. I need a toga rhythm and a six-pack of the blues. Look out now, you heard the news. The town looking for fun. Watch out now, I'm out on the run. I need a toga rhythm and a six-pack of the blues. sharp if it takes a hone. I need a toga rhythm, a six-pack of the blues. Look out, mama, I got them boogie shoes.
American farmers are losing their farms at a frightening rate. For generations, this land and the occupations that it provided were handed down from father to son. And over the years, laws passed by legislators have eroded this heritage. The government and our nation's banking system are slowly becoming this country's sole farm owners. So in order to turn the tide, the American farmer needs a successful cash crop. Now, hemp is a plant that's proven to be versatile in creating over 50,000 products, from cloth and paper to fuel and medicine. And when prohibition was leveled against liquor, it was still legal to grow corn and grapes for other purposes. Now, this should be true of hemp. Return our roots to America and help re-legalize hemp.
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp. Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.